Lux used to be a prince of the Arcadia Empire until a rebellion toppled it about 5 years ago. One day, he accidentally stumbles into the girls' dormitory bath and catches a glimpse of the heaven. I mean guys, a hot blonde princess, Lisesharte. Furious, Lisesharte demands a drag ride duel with him. But this prince is top G and says your place or mine. Ignoring him like a nice guy, she has explained drag rides are ancient, powerful machines used as armor, unearthed from ruins worldwide. Lux was once known as the best drag knight around, but now people call him the undefeated weakest because he refuses to attack during fights. After his duel with Lisesharte, Lux finds himself enrolled in an all-girls academy that teaches royals how to use drag rides. Lux wakes up to find himself locked up in a prison cell. The girl comes over and he quickly starts explaining, hoping she'll listen. He tells her that he was just chasing a cat that had stolen a woman's purse when he accidentally ended up in the school's shower room. He admits he fell on a girl there by mistake and realizes he needs to think fast to get her on his bed. Sorry guys, I mean find a way to get out of this. He tries complimenting her, calling her queen of big melons and a knockout, but she just calls him another pervy guy who wants what every boy wants and seems totally uninterested in his excuses. She asks if the sword device she found belongs to him, mentioning it's unusual to see a dickhead carrying 2 swords, especially this big black one.
What do you mean by that?
Just then, another girl shows up and asks what's going on. The new girl tells Lux the headmaster wants to see him, and they start dragging him along. On the way, another girl joins and jokes that he's got some nerve for spying on naked girls while they're showering. Lux tries to explain himself again but soon realizes he's actually in an academy. When they reach the headmaster, he apologizes for the mess he caused. The headmaster recognizes Lux as the former prince of the empire that fell in the last war. She tells the others that she knows him well and say he is totally a guy. She asks if he knows about the academy, explaining that girls have a natural talent for piloting the mechanized dragons, which is why this is an all-girls school designed to train them. However, she tells Lux that she wants him to work there. Confused, he asks why she'd want a guy in such a place. The headmaster explains that it's rare for men to be able to ride the mechas at all. The other girls immediately start protesting, with one blonde girl storming in, declaring it's totally unacceptable for him to work there. Lux suddenly recognizes her as the girl he accidentally saw in the shower. The girls tells her don't get too close to him otherwise he will clap you. The headmaster says she'll leave Lux in the blonde girl's hands. Seizing the moment, she challenges him to a fight, and he can't help but feel like he's reliving the all too familiar scenario of a lone guy clashing with a tough blonde in a school full of girls. The girls watching are certain the princess will win easily, convinced that no man could beat her. However, the headmaster warns them, reminding everyone that Lux once went undefeated in a major tournament, earning the strange title of the undefeated weakest. The princess brushes this off, thinking he's just a pervert, and is determined to put him in his place. She declares that this duel will decide his future. If he loses, he'll be considered a criminal for his actions. She even orders the other girls to spread the word that the new kingdom's princess is challenging the former prince. Lux is surprised by this and asks what she means. She then reveals she's the first princess of the new kingdom that took down his empire 5 years ago, greeting him with a hint of sarcasm. Lux can't help but wonder how he ended up in this bizarre situation. Just then, his sister arrives, surprised to see him at her school. He apologizes, saying she's heard rumors that he might try to lift her skirt if she gets too close. She sighs, clearly disappointed, and comments that it's a shame her friend's brother turned out to be such a pervy Lux's sister scolds him, asking how she's supposed to handle his debt if he ends up in jail. She reminds him they're already seen as criminals since the war and have a huge debt to pay. Lux insists he's trying to be responsible. Unimpressed, mocks him, saying his efforts are clear, especially with how desperate he wants to clap any girl. Lux's sister urges him to stay focused and insists he must defeat the princess at all costs. As he steps into the ring, he hears the crowd roaring around him. Machines activate, forming a barrier to enclose the arena, signaling the start of his match against the new princess. Before they begin, the princess asks if he knows why she challenged him. Lux guesses it's because he was once a prince, but she only replies that he'll find out if he wins. With that, the match begins, and Lux begins chanting his summons. The princess mocks Lux, calling him pathetic and boasting that her divine raiment machine is far superior. Lux's sister worries, knowing only the best can handle such a powerful device. As the match starts, The princess immediately fires, forcing Lux to dodge. She taunts him, urging him to give her a real fight. Lux tries to dodge her magic but gets hit directly. He asks if they could call it a draw, apologizing for the bath incident, which only makes her think he's more than just a fool. He's the king of morons. She summons her cannon, urging him to ditch his dragon and use the sword he's hiding, but he declines. Furious, she threatens him with doom, launching metal weapons that he skillfully dodges and parries. The princess then unleashes a laser at full power, thinking she has him cornered, but his sister confidently assures her friend he won't go down easily. Frustrated, the princess, feeling toyed with, activates her ultimate weapon, sending a powerful gravitational attack that slams him into the ground. She wanes, she insists it's over, though her weapons begin malfunctioning. Lux warns her to exit her machine, but she stubbornly refuses to lose. Suddenly, an abyss dragon appears, destroying nearby machines, prompting an emergency evacuation. When the dragon targets the princess, Lux shields her, and together they dodge its attacks. His sister, watching, reassures the terrified girls that Lux won't lose to a single abyss. Lux baits the dragon, recalling that he asked the princess to use her cannon when he gave the signal. Luring the dragon into his trap, Lux distracts it as it heads for the princess. The abyss strikes, severing Lux's arm. Seizing the moment, the princess fires her cannon, unleashing a powerful blast that obliterates the dragon. Lux crashes to the ground, and Miss Diary quickly rushes over to check on him. Lux has a painful dream of his brother asking if he'll follow his own path or stay by his side. He wakes to see Princess Adismata by his bed. She thanks him for saving her and introduces herself, calling herself a lenient and generous princess. They laugh, and she admits she trusts him. She promises to reveal the real reason for their duel but says she couldn't just forgive him for what he saw in the shower. Lux apologizes, calling her, "You have such nice melons and I hope someday I want to taste it," and she calls him a dumbass. In a more serious moment, she shows him a mark above her heaven door, something she hasn't shared with anyone. She asks him to keep it a secret, and Lux swears on his swords to protect it. Finally, she asks why he refused to use his sword in the duel. Lux hesitates, so she decides his punishment will be attending the all-girls school from now on. Alicia tells Lux to call her by her first name, as if they were classmates, before leaving. A girl spying on them wonders who this Lux Arcadia really is. The next day, the teacher introduces Lux to the class and asks him to introduce himself. Lux greets them, and Alicia seems pleased, while the girls think he's cute and powerful. Lux, wishing he could go home, notices a familiar pink-haired girl, his childhood friend, Filthy. He tells the teacher about their past, and she lets him sit next to Filthy, which makes Alicia a bit jealous. Lux asks Philofi to borrow her textbook, and she tells him to call her Fee. The class finds their nicknames cute, and she hands him the textbook, calling him Lou. Alicia watches. "I bet you guys this bitch wants kill Fee." The girls ask Lux if he's a handyman, and one of them playfully requests his services, hinting that she wants his help.
"What do you mean by that?"
Another girl jumps in, saying she wants some service too, and they decide to make paper requests to get more assistance from him, even starting to call him Lexi. Leisha then approaches, requesting that he becomes her personal assistant, reminding him that it's the least he can do after seeing her in the bath. Filthy stands up, telling Leisha that Lux looks uncomfortable.
Here I come.
Sparking a small argument. Leisha offers her a donut to back off, but Filthy firmly insists Leisha should give Lux some space. A blue-haired girl, Crucifer, steps in, reminding Leisha that the headmaster assigned her to watch over Lux, taking the opportunity to escape the situation. Lux walks off with Crucifer, thanking her for the rescue and asking why she helped him. Crucifer then brings up the Black Hero, a legendary drag knight who brought down an entire empire. She explains that no one knows his true identity, and requests Lux to find this hero, as she has personal business with him. The mention of the Black Hero stirs a memory for Lux. His brother once told him that their childhood friend was put on the list for human experimentation. Lux had told his brother back then that he didn't want to harm anyone. The next morning, Lux wakes up confused by a strange dream. He reaches out, thinking the blanket feels soft, only to realize he's actually holding onto someone's plot. Startled, he quickly pulls away and asks why she's there. She calmly explains it's her room, and they slept together because there weren't other options. Embarrassed, he tells her to cover up. His sister, Harry, enters, teasing him for already causing plot drama at the school. Lux insists it's a misunderstanding and explains that the headmaster paired them together due to limited space and trusts him with her. Harry warns him to be careful, mentioning that rumors are already spreading, before leaving with a playful comment about how if she stayed by his side any longer, she wouldn't want to leave him. Later, Lux heads to the barn for a request and finds Lisha on the floor. She reveals she's the shop manager and proudly shows him his repaired dragon. Impressed, he asks how she did such a good job. Lisha explains she fixed it to recruit him into the school's night squad, seeing potential in his skills and hoping he'll support the new kingdom. Taking the sword she offers, Lux agrees to help, and she smiles, grateful he joined. As they spend the day together, holding hands, Lisha tells him that getting to know each other will make them better knights. Lisha takes Lux to a fancy restaurant, and he immediately thinks it looks expensive, and she reassures him, saying that as a princess, she can treat him. But after they order, she realizes she forgot her wallet. They still enjoy the meal, and she apologizes, admitting she'd wanted to treat him properly. She takes a bite of his dessert, a big, creamy pastry, and comments on how delicious it is, clearly enjoying the treat. Lisha takes Lux to the top of a tower, admiring the view. Lux shares that he used to come here to clean when he was younger, which surprises her, as she wonders how a prince became a handyman. He compliments her ability to repair machines, despite being a princess. She steps away, asking him what he thinks it means to act like a princess. Lisha then reveals that 5 years ago, she was held as a war hostage, branded by captors who saw her as their property. She wished her father would come to save her instead of prioritizing his kingdom. She feels she lost her sense of being a princess and only inherited the throne after her father's passing. Later, Lux reflects on his own past, recalling his brother's madness, his ruthlessness, and the horrifying moment when he killed others, saying it was to protect Lux from being assassinated. Lux recalls his brother mocking him, claiming he didn't understand anything. Suddenly, Lux awakens to bells ringing. Their teacher announces that an abyss has appeared, and they're the last line of defense as security forces mobilize. Alicia, determined to help, heads off, assuring him of her strength. Harry notices his concern, and Lux notes the rising frequency of abyss appearances lately without knowing why. Alicia encounters a giant slime-like abyss prepared to fight. However, a whistle sounds, triggering the slime to explode, and she realizes it's a signal as hundreds of abysses emerge. A man appears, claiming to be a commander from the fallen empire, and Alicia accuses him of treason. He calls it his homeland, blows the whistle again, and the abysses begin to swarm. Alicia steps in, firing her laser cannon to hold them off. As Alicia continues fighting, another abyss targets her, and she begins to lose ground. One of the Drag Knights warns the others that they're in serious danger. Lux tells his sister he's going to help Alicia, but she insists he can't do much with his weak machine, especially without his sword. Ignoring her concerns, he heads off. Meanwhile, Alicia battles the abysses with her gravity weapon, asking if the others are safe. Her allies tell her they're too exhausted to keep fighting. Determined, Alicia decides to go after the leader to stop his control over the abysses. The man blows his whistle, sending 3 abysses to fire at her as she dodges their attacks. Their leader strikes her down, revealing the Empire's rebel army swarming around her. Lux calls out to Alicia, urging her to hold on, but she replies that it's okay. She admits that, despite her efforts, she couldn't truly live up to being a princess, but always wanted to prove herself. The leader mocks her, tearing her shirt to reveal the brand he gave her, reminding her of her captivity. Enraged, she throws her sword at him, but he prepares to end her. At the last moment, Lux steps in to save her. He tells her he, too, failed to achieve anything as a prince. He tried to save everyone but couldn't, so now he's devoted to protecting others. Despite losing an arm, Lux activates his magical ability, releases his machine, and draws his black sword, ready to fight. Lux becomes cloaked in black armor, revealing the legendary Black Divine raiment. His sister, Eri, watches in shock, realizing her brother has unleashed it, and the others finally understand he's the fabled Black Hero. Now fully armored, Lux charges forward, obliterating abysses one after another with incredible force. Eri recalls that he was once the Drag Knight who single-handedly destroyed thousands of machine dragons, showcasing the true extent of his power.
Fire.
The next day, Lux arrives at school, where the girls congratulate him on his victory. Eri tells him they've all prepared a surprise to honor him as a prince. Alicia enters, wanting to thank him but stumbling over her words, clearly flustered. Filthy joins in to congratulate him, and Alicia playfully calls her a ditz for eating Lux's treat before he had a chance. The headmaster proposes a toast, and everyone enjoys the meal together. Lux's sister even feeds him, delighting in a bit of sibling affection. However, a few girls in the crowd start noticing how casual everyone seems around Lux. To wrap up, the headmaster has one final request for Lux. She announces a playful challenge. Anyone who captures a designated paper will get to use Lux as their assistant for a full week. The girls' excitement spikes as the competition begins. The headmaster tells Lux that if he can hold onto a special paper for 1 hour without getting caught, he'll avoid being anyone's assistant for a week. Poor Lux immediately starts running across campus as the girls eagerly chase him. He ducks into Leisha's shed, where she offers him one night stand with her sorry guys I mean a temporary hiding spot, but asks about the black hero. It is not what you think, guys. She promises that everyone who saw his transformation will keep it secret, but she wants to know more about his divine raiment to advance her research. Lux explains his ability, Reload on Fire, which can compress and release time. However, Leisha suddenly restrains him, revealing she tricked him into explaining. Lux, realizing he's been outplayed, promises to hand over the paper if she releases him. Managing to escape, he continues hiding around campus until Filthy sneaks up behind him. Her sister had promised her a cake if she managed to catch him, and, showing surprising strength, she uses her black belt skills to trap him. She tries a secret technique to make him drop the red paper, but when it falls, Lux quickly snatches it up and promises her cake later as he dashes away. With only 10 minutes left, Lux hides in the library, planning to stay behind some boxes until time runs out. However, he soon realizes he's mistakenly hidden in the girls' changing room. I think he did this intentionally. As a group of d***s enter, including Krulsifer, they start chatting about being cautious around Lux after the bathhouse incident. One girl asks Krulsifer to grab a book, and as she does, she spots Lux hiding, staring at her. Lux knows he got f***ed, but Krulsifer assures the other girls she'll join them shortly and waits until they leave. Once the coast is clear, Krulsifer tells Lux he doesn't need to hide anymore. The hour actually ended a few minutes ago. She offers to keep his paper, but Lux wonders why he only just heard the clock. Smiling, Krulsifer reveals she'd moved the clock hands to trick him, meaning she now gets him as her assistant for a week. Lux is stunned as Krulsifer leans close, mentioning with a mischievous grin that she has a few crazy tasks in mind for him. Lux thinks this bitch is out of his mind. Later that night, Eri warns Lux about drawing too much attention to himself, leading him to a secret room where the headmistress waits. She presents a dragon whistle, explaining that it might unlock the century-old ruins they plan to explore next week. She requests Lux's help in opening it, and he agrees, understanding the responsibility. Later that evening, Eri pulls Lux aside, giving him a playful but serious reminder to be careful. She suggests he stay on guard, not entirely sure of Krulsifer's intentions, but knowing her brother tends to dive in without thinking. The next morning, Krulsifer explains her plans to Lux. She reveals that she was forced to move to this kingdom for a political marriage, but before losing her freedom, she wants to fulfill some personal goals. To do so, she asks Lux to pose as her boyfriend to deceive her butler. Moving closer, she whispers her plan into his ear, but the other girls start shrieking, making him realize they're watching closely. Krulsifer warns him that she'll reveal his bathhouse incident if he doesn't help, leaving Lux feeling pressured, while Alicia struggles with jealousy. Later, Krulsifer privately tutors Lux, but their time is interrupted as Leisha barges in, followed by Filthy, who casually falls asleep on Lux. Alicia watches, getting jealous once again. Leisha isn't done with Krulsifer, teasing her about how serious her relationship with Lux seems. Krulsifer, confused about the customs here, wonders if holding hands is truly significant. Leisha's friend chimes in, hinting that Krulsifer might be unfamiliar with local traditions. Lux then asks Alicia if she knows what a kiss is, causing her to blush as she insists she does. She explains that kissing is reserved for marriage and is necessary for having children. I don't know guys where she gained knowledge like that. Filthy tries to mention she already kissed Lux, but no one notices. Krulsifer then reminds Lux to rest up for their date tomorrow, which makes Alicia burst with jealousy. The next morning, Krulsifer wears her cutest outfit, drawing attention around campus to make their relationship seem real. Meanwhile, Alicia and Filthy secretly follow them, playing detective. They shop for clothes, though Lux admits he's never been to such an upscale store, despite being a prince. Krulsifer shares she hasn't either, preferring a simpler lifestyle. Filthy notices Lux isn't wearing his guards, while Alicia curiously wonders about the length of his rocket. As they leave the store, Krulsifer surprises Lux with a suit, making him look like a proper prince. During their walk to dinner, she admires his profile, saying he looks handsome, but they're interrupted by the sound of bandits overhead. The bandits threaten them, likely targeting them for their royal ties. Krulsifer instructs Lux to distract them so she can summon her dragon. Lux engages, taking down the bandits, and Krulsifer uses her wise blood ability to block incoming bullets and eliminate the mechas in a single strike. Alicia and Filthy arrive, dressed in odd disguises, explaining they came to help. Just as one bandit tries to escape, a mysterious woman appears, stopping him. Krulsifer recognizes her as her old attendant, Butler. At dinner, Krulsifer introduces Lux as her boyfriend, which shocks Butler. Alicia denies it, but Lux quietly asks her to play along. Suddenly, a man arrives, admiring Butler and introducing himself as Baltzerite, eager to see his beautiful bride. The man, head of one of the 4 great families and Krulsifer's arranged fiancé, mocks Lux as beneath him. Krulsifer rejects the man, insisting she's already with Lux, and challenges him to a 2-on-2 duel, pairing Lux with her attendant, Butler. The man agrees, and Lux promises to show up. That night, the man learns the secret to accessing the ruins, thanks to Lux's brother. The next morning, Krulsifer thanks Lux for helping her, even if he's not her real boyfriend. Overhearing, Alicia mistakenly thinks Lux is hers and plans to upgrade his Drag Knight with a Heaven Piercer drill. As Lux walks on campus, Tilfer pulls him into a mysterious room. And this Sigma male got melt at this point, and me also, guys. Tell in the comments, guys, if you want these kind of mates. Tilfer and the others tell Lux they're here to help him relax, revealing it was Leisha's idea. Embarrassed, Leisha scolds them, but Tilfer explains they dressed as maids for him. Alicia shyly offers to do extra if he wants, thanks to Tilfer's advice, cementing Tilfer as the ultimate wingman. The council gathers to discuss the urgent threat of Ragnarok. The groom's family steps up, deciding they'll handle entering the ruins and securing or destroying the powerful weapon within. Meanwhile, the headmistress holds a private meeting about the upcoming mission, revealing they'll use a special whistle to access the ruins. She gives Lux the key needed to enter, and Leisha chimes in, promising that she'll finally add a big drill to his machine.
What do you mean by that?
Lux zones out, barely listening to Leisha's talk about the drill, and finds himself wondering why Krulsifer is in the meeting room. Afterward, he asks her why she attended since she's a transfer student. Krulsifer casually replies that he shouldn't treat her like an outsider, she had permission to join. She then says goodbye and walks off, leaving him a bit puzzled. Later, Lux is in the bath, reflecting on Krulsifer's motives, but he's suddenly distracted by Filthy massive plot without any cover, who has joined him. She casually mentions that she only bathes with people she likes to sleep with, and Lux notices she seems to have massive plot development since the last time they bathed together. He's startled when Filthy begins to doze off, slipping under the water. Acting quickly, Lux catches her and grab the thing that I want to grab, guys. Filthy wakes up briefly, but then starts to drift off again. Lux notices a scar that used to be on her back is now gone, leaving him puzzled about how it healed. She drowsily reminds him to stay safe in the upcoming mission, and he promises he will. Overcome by the excitement, without any touch, Lux is pass out and me also. So guys, that's it for today's. Sorry guys, I mean watch this video. The next day, the teacher introduces the mission leader, Barzeride. Alicia questions this, and Barzeride explains he's there mainly to protect his future wife. The group heads to the ruins, where Krulsifer quickly moves forward, with Lux wondering why she's in such a rush. Suddenly, a massive abyss emerges from the fog. A Diablo, a legendary abyss capable of devastating entire cities. It charges toward Leisha's friends, but Lux intercepts, though his sword begins to buckle under the pressure. As Leisha tries to assist, the abyss attacks another knight. Krulsifer uses her wise blood ability to hold it in place, and Barzeride seizes the moment, using his divine raiment to send the abyss flying back. He then challenges Lux to a race to defeat it, but Krulsifer interrupts, reminding them to focus on the mission. She engages her wise blood again, but the abyss's unpredictable movements cause her shots to miss. Just as it fires a massive attack toward her, Lux leaps in to save her. The rest of the army tries to take down the abyss, but their attacks fail. Barzeride launches his axe, managing to land a hit that finally injures it, much to Krulsifer's surprise, as it's the first time her wise blood ability has failed against such a powerful foe. Suddenly, the abyss glows with a white aura, signaling an impending self-destruct. The intense light blinds everyone, and Lux notices Krulsifer's armor starting to crack under the strain. Just as a sequence of gates in the ruin begins to open, Lux sprints forward, determined to reach Chrolsifer and shield her from the coming explosion. Lux's memories flash back to a time when his brother checked on him after a huge explosion left him disoriented and struggling to stay conscious. As his vision fades, he realizes he's alone, unsure of his surroundings. Back in the present, Chrolsifer confirms they're in the ruins and thanks Lux for rescuing her from the blast. As they press on toward the ruin's center, Chrolsifer suddenly collapses, insisting they keep going while she still has the strength. When she falters again, Lux lifts her onto his shoulder, helping her reach the entrance. Curious about her motivation, he asks why she's been seeking the Black Hero. Chrolsifer explains that the Black Hero is the only one who can use his drag ride without limits, a power she's determined to understand. In the center of the room, Lux and Chrolsifer reach an ancient altar. As Lux takes out the key, the altar unexpectedly activates, recognizing Chrolsifer as its true key. She reveals her secret. She isn't originally from this world. She's actually a survivor from the ruins. Suddenly, the structure above them begins collapsing. Lux grabs Chrolsifer, helping her escape, but they remain trapped inside. As they navigate further, they come across strange, box-like structures. Chrolsifer reveals that she was found here as a child, not a true daughter of her royal family. Her adoptive father had rescued her, raising her with no memory of this place, yet she always felt different. Determined to be accepted, Chrolsifer trained as a drag knight, hoping to win her siblings' affection. But seeing the ruins' response to her presence confirmed she truly belongs to this place, leaving her feeling isolated. Apologizing, she calls herself useless, but Lux reassures her, saying she's his friend and partner. She matters to him, even if no one else sees her worth. Chrolsifer wonders aloud how Lux could be so compassionate, so he opens up about his past. He shares that he and his mother, along with Eri, were thrown out of their home, and during a time when his mother was gravely injured, no one offered help. That painful memory, the last he has of her, left him resentful and disillusioned with others. Yet, Filthy had been the one person who reached out, caring for him when he felt he had no worth, showing him that kindness still existed. Chrolsifer reflects on whether Lux's kindness could have saved her if he'd been the Empire's prince. Just then, a giant drill suddenly bursts through the ground, and Lisha appears, smirking as she asks if he finally sees the usefulness of a good drill. Alicia teases Lux, asking if he did anything strange with Chrolsifer, and calls him a perf when he's clueless. Later, Eri scolds him for not gathering any useful info from the ruins, then hands him herbal tea to prepare for his upcoming duel. Lux drinks it and unexpectedly passes out. Eri quietly hopes this will satisfy Chrolsifer, remembering how she planned everything so Lux wouldn't need to come to her rescue. At the duel site, Barzaride waits for Lux, but Chrolsifer informs him that it'll be just the two of them. They summon their drag rides, and Barzaride immediately uses his powers to knock unconscious. As the duel resumes, Chrolsifer manages to dodge his attacks using her Wise Blood ability, but Barzaride surprises her by grabbing her leg and using a special technique to disable her shots completely. Barzaride's true power becomes evident as he fires 3 shots that pierce her armor, then strikes her from behind with his massive axe. As he stands over her, it dawns on Chrolsifer that Barzaride only joined them to study her drag ride's divine raiment ability. He smugly calls her a tool, saying she's powerless against him and declaring that no one can save her. Just then, a sword comes slicing down, and Lux appears, apologizing for his delay. Cloaked in his black divine raiment, the Black Hero has arrived. Lux firmly declares that he won't let Barzaride take Chrolsifer, calling her his girlfriend. Barzaride sneers and challenges Lux, daring him to try and take her back. Lux charges forward at full speed, aiming to break through Barzaride's defenses, but Barzaride counters, knocking him back. Lux quickly realizes why Barzaride can predict his moves. He's using Chrolsifer's Wise Blood ability. Barzaride's divine raiment lets him steal powers from others and drain their Drag Knight's energy, which is why Chrolsifer's butler's energy was drained instantly. Pleased by Lux's insight, Barzaride takes advantage, firing at Chrolsifer and then using Lux's own Reload on Fire ability to multiply his speed, vanishing and reappearing to strike Lux. Barely managing to hold his ground, Lux learns that Barzaride made a pact with the Empire to gather powers to protect it from Ragnarok, even if it means sacrificing others. Just then, Lux's armor flashes red as something changes within him. Chrolsifer, distressed, begs him to stop fighting for her, admitting she'd only seen him as a means to an end. She believes she's not worth saving and shouldn't have involved him, but Lux firmly counters, telling her she's not just anyone to him, she's his partner, and he'll protect her no matter what. After the battle, Noct wonders how Lux kept fighting, and Aerie reveals that he purposely lost control of his drag ride to unleash its full power. Lux finds Krulsifer afterward, telling her the fight is over and asking her to come home with him. Moved, she tears up and takes his hand, agreeing. The next day, Alicia tags along with Lux, teasing him about their contract's last day. Lux is stunned when Krulsifer's butler informs him that her family has officially approved him as her fiancé. The butler apologizes for any trouble and excuses herself, leaving Lux in disbelief. Krulsifer tells him to sit with her, playfully scolding him for bothering other customers. Still confused, Lux points out that their relationship was supposed to be fake, asking why they're still acting this way. Krulsifer reminds him that he called her his lover during the duel. Embarrassed, Lux says he was just acting on impulse, but Krulsifer admits that after spending this week together, she's realized she truly wants his Lux laughs awkwardly, clearly cringing inside. But Krulsifer just smirks, telling him she's surprised to see he actually has a big one. This bitch is fucked again. Krulsifer steps back with a sly smile, licking her lips. She grabs Lux's face and teasingly tells him that if they ever got married, she's licking ice cream like this. Alicia bursts in, yelling at Lux and Krulsifer for excluding her. Meanwhile, a mysterious black-haired girl wanders around campus, catching the attention of other students who notice she's unfamiliar. A teacher warns her to head home quickly to avoid the campus creepy stalker, though she senses something odd about the girl, and leaves it alone. Unbeknownst to everyone, the black-haired girl is actually Lux in disguise, which surprisingly no one has figured out yet. Earlier, he'd learned that Ragnarok has been unleashed, recalling Barzaride's ominous words. Chrys reassures him, saying that another powerful third-year student named Celes, who, unfortunately, has a deep dislike for men, is returning soon to help fight Ragnarok. Chrys, Noct, and Tilfer then reveal their ultimate plan for Lux to deal with Celes's, removing his all clothes and having him. They remove Lux's plot armor, leaving him vulnerable as he sits on a bench at night, pondering what kind of person Celes might be. Suddenly, he hears someone talking in the bushes, a blonde girl chatting with a cat that quickly walks away, leaving her even lonelier. Just as he wonders who she is, a mysterious figure attacks him, but the blonde girl rushes in to block the strike. The stalker throws a smoke bomb, then hurls a blade at her. Lux shields her, getting injured in the process. The girl takes Lux to the infirmary, asking him to remove his jacket, but to keep his disguise, he has her take it off from behind. When he teasingly asks about her chat with the cat, she blushes and insists she wasn't talking to it out of loneliness. The next day, Lux reflects on the night's events, recalling that he'd introduced himself to the girl as Luna, only to find out she was the man-hater Celes. As Lux zones out, Krulsifer invites him to relax during their private session, which prompts Alicia to remind them that their fake relationship ended last week. Meanwhile, in the kingdom's prison, Barzaride begs a mysterious man to free him, but instead, the man uses an abyss whistle to unleash abyss creatures throughout the kingdom. The next morning, Lux decides to challenge Celes to fight Ragnarok, but Tilfer calls him aside, saying there's trouble at the academy. He hears Celes demanding that Lux be expelled since he's the only man there. Alicia, defending him, calls her a blockhead. Lux enters, and Celes reintroduces herself, asserting that he doesn't belong at their academy. Lux insists she help fight Ragnarok, but Celes declares she'll face it alone. Refusing to leave, Lux argues she can't handle it by herself. The headmistress steps in to mediate, suggesting they settle the matter with a duel. The academy arranges for 3 days of training on an island, ending with a duel between Lux and Celes. Alicia confidently bets that Lux will win, while Celes agrees to the conditions and exits with her friend, Sania. That night, Sania thanks Celes for trying to get Lux expelled and wishes her good night. After Sania leaves, Celes reflects on how unpleasant the whole situation is, believing that winning the duel is the only way to protect Lux's place at the academy. At the training camp on the island, Celes takes charge, leading the group through intense drills. Lux spots a distant building and feels an odd sense of familiarity. Later, as he wonders how Celes manages to push herself so hard, Krulsifer tells him that Celes has always had a driven personality, but has often seemed troubled by something unspoken. Before heading to bed, Lux tries to return Chrys's borrowed clothes, but Tilfer and Noct tease him, claiming they look better on him anyway. Suddenly, Sania urgently calls Lux to her room, and he is surprised because this bitch is begging for dick. Celes, sensing something might be off, checks in on Luna. Lux quickly adopts a feminine voice, asking why she called him. She requests a massage, then even asks him to help her change. Lux tries to make an exit, but Celes insists he stay a bit longer, so he reluctantly switches into his woman's outfit before she realizes his true identity. When Celes gets up and sees Luna, she's delighted, excited to spend time with her friend. Lux attempts to slip away, but this saddens Celes, so she invites Luna to hang out tomorrow. Feeling trapped, Lux agrees, and Celes lights up. While talking, she notices Luna's sword, admiring it and handing it back to him. Just as Lux leaves, Sania notices Luna hanging around Celes' room. Chronicle steps in, explaining that she'd asked Luna to meet her there and questions why Sania was watching so closely. Sania, flustered, makes a quick exit. Later, Chronicle pulls Lux aside, and he's surprised she recognized him, but she reassures him she'd never mistake his face. She warns him that Sania seems intent on getting him expelled from the academy. That night, Filthy gazes at the moon through her window, and Lux wakes up to find her standing there. Surprised, he asks what she's doing. Filthy offers him a hug, reminding him of how hugs can lift the spirits. He smiles, saying he's not a kid anymore, but she insists and says, "But you are a man now and I'm a woman, so let's have some fun."
We must stay focused, brothers. We must stay focused.
She hugs him, promising that if he loses the duel, she'll fight Celes herself to make sure he stays at the academy and have a lot more fun. The next morning, Lux continues his disguise as Luna when Celes finally approaches him for their day out. She takes him around town, visiting various shops before stopping at a bathing suit store. She teasingly suggests he try one on, causing him to fake a fever and flee. Amused, Celes apologizes for not being a better host, but Lux assures her he's enjoyed their time together. Celes hugs Luna, expressing happiness over finding a true friend. They share a snack, but Lux notices Celes dozing off in the middle of the day. An eagle's cry startles her awake, and she realizes she let her guard down. Curious, Lux asks why she's always trying to appear so strong. She admits that strong people must bear their loneliness. Lux chuckles, recalling her conversation with the cat. Embarrassed, Celes insists he forget about that, saying it's not as if she was lonely in the imperial capital or anything like that. Celes sighs, admitting she's tired of everyone assuming she hates men. She asks Luna to keep a secret, revealing that she's not actually a man-hater at all. She wants so much lollipops. The next day at the castle, investigators report that Ragnarok's empty shell was discovered, but it seems the body has likely vanished into the ocean. Later, as Celes prepares for her swimming practice, Sania asks if she's really going to let Lux join them. After a pause, Celes admits she doesn't actually hate men. In fact, she's fond of them, especially since her teachers have always been supportive. However, she adds that she can't rely on a younger man in her position and is determined to defeat Lux. At the beach, the girls call out to Lux, playfully referring to him as Lux Kai. Overwhelmed by all the attention, he averts his eyes, proving once again that he can't even look at girls when they're right in front of him. Chronicle reassures him that it's fine since they're not in underwear. Filthy keeps splashing Lux with water until he finally escapes, only to stumble upon Lisesharte, who's struggling with her swimsuit. She's worried it might reveal a mark on her skin, feeling self-conscious about her outfit. Alicia yells at Lux, and then Headmaster Aerie notices she's outclassed in every way, making her feel down. Lux checks on her, but she calls him a perv, while Alicia jokingly calls him a siskin. Suddenly, Chronicle shows up, questioning why Lux is there and asking where Luna is, leaving Lux panicked as he realizes his disguise could be blown. Carice then pulls him aside and hands him a bikini, teasing him to wear it for the beach. Tilfer, excited, wants to see Lux Kai in the swimsuit immediately, prompting Lux to flee. He accidentally bumps into Celes, who coldly mocks him for having so much free time, then walks off. Lux is puzzled, recalling that Celes had expressed a desire to apologize to him. She had learned swordsmanship from his grandfather, and her one wish was to prevent his grandson from facing the same fate. Later, Lux sits alone in his room, feeling the weight of his upcoming duel with Celes. In the distance, a mysterious stalker watches them, eventually meeting up with Lux's brother. The day of the duel finally arrives, with a single wish as the prize for the winner. Both Celes and Lux agree to the conditions and draw their swords. Lux uses a different drag ride to keep his identity hidden, and the two clash fiercely. Meanwhile, in the forest, Carice and Tilfer track down a mysterious stalker, revealing it to be Sania. She discards her disguise, declaring her mission to kill everyone and overthrow the new empire. Unsheathing her sword, she activates her divine raiment, which pulses with power, growing larger and stronger. Back in the duel, Lux skillfully parries Celes' attacks, but she summons magical energy, launching a lightning bolt that nearly overwhelms him. Losing control, Lux activates his recoil burst to rush forward. Celes vanishes and reappears behind him, poised to strike, until they hear terrifying screams. Tentacles erupt from the ground, knocking Celes off balance. Eri notices that Filthy is missing and rushes to find her. Deep in the forest, Filthy collapses but is comforted by her sister, who vows never to let anyone take her away again. Lux steadies Celes and asks if she's alright. In front of them stands Ragnarok, on the verge of revival. Celes, determined to take it down, charges forward, dodging its tentacles. Activating her divine gate, she teleports directly in front of Ragnarok, striking it down with a powerful slash. Exhausted, she struggles to stay aloft, but Sania reappears, ominously reminding her that the battle is far from over. She blows the abyss whistle, reviving Ragnarok at full strength. As Sania attacks Celes, Lux barely deflects her blow. Sania mocks him, revealing that Celes was responsible for his grandfather's death. Unshaken, Lux already knew this. Suddenly, Ragnarok emits a smoke screen, giving Sania the chance to shoot Lux down. After some time, Lux manages to wake Celes from unconsciousness. She looks at him, apologizing for hiding the truth about his grandfather's death. As a child, she'd discovered corruption in the former empire and informed Lux's grandfather, which led to his imprisonment and death and his family's exile. Despite the tragedy, his last words inspired her to always seek the truth, which is why she's felt responsible for protecting Lux. She's deeply sorry for keeping this from him and worries he must be upset. But Lux reassures her, unsheathing his black sword and revealing that he's also kept secrets. His pitch-black divine drag ride materializes, and he tells her he has never held anger toward her. In fact, he admires her for her quirky resilience. Lux then takes off, charging straight toward Ragnarok. He effortlessly takes down Sania, who stands in his path, then activates his reload on fire ability. Ragnarok attacks with its tentacles, but Lux's incredible speed allows him to evade and destroy each one, demonstrating his hidden abilities to Celes as he fights with all his strength. Celes points her spear at Sania, demanding her surrender, but Sania, knowing Celes wouldn't harm her, bids her farewell and escapes. However, the battle isn't over. A white crystal emerges from Ragnarok's core, and Sania, along with a mysterious man, quickly seizes it. The man removes his cover, revealing himself as Hayes, not Lux's brother. Hayes ominously vows to bring back the horrors from 5 years ago. Sania strikes at Lux, and they vanish. Once they're gone, Lux finds himself back in Celes's room, helping her recover. Celes, though grateful, feels hurt by Lux's deception as Luna. She confesses she's conflicted about being saved by him and admits she's never fully understood men's feelings, asking Lux to teach her, just as his grandfather did. If he does, she'll allow him back into the academy. That night, while staring at a familiar building, Lux tries to recall the nightmare from 5 years ago, but his memories are murky and shadowed. Just then, the ground trembles, and a massive, whale-like structure rises from the ocean and floats in the sky, a ruin. The headmaster reveals the real reason for bringing them to the camp. Lux also remembers an incident from 9 years ago when his brother broke an expensive statue. They tried to shift the blame onto one of the girls, choosing Fee. When questioned, Lux took responsibility, claiming he was the one who broke it. As they walked away, Fee thanked him for taking the blame and offered him a cookie, calling him Luchin, which made him smile. The following morning, Lux goes to Fee's room, where she tells him she'll join him on the ruins investigation. Alicia pulls Lux aside and explains how he can remove his drag ride's limiter using a release code to unlock his true form, but warns him of the risks. Meanwhile, the investigation team prepares. Eri joins Lux, asking him to keep her safe inside the ruins. When they enter, they find that reaching the heart requires passing through 11 floors, so they split into teams. Lux is assigned to the 6th floor, and Celes is eager to join him, but Eri sends her to the 3rd floor, leaving Celes a bit lonely. Lux reassures her, promising to meet halfway. Her excitement is obvious, and the others suspect she might be into him. As they continue through the ruins, Eri jokes, warning Lux not to get any ideas about Noct just because they're alone. But Noct teases back, saying Eri shouldn't worry because Lux is Lux, flustered, tries to brush off Noct's teasing, but Noct pushes him to name one thing he likes about her. With a sheepish grin, he awkwardly admits he's a fan of her. Impressive melons. Lux, trying to keep things together, follows the radar's alert and discovers a strange girl sleeping amidst the rubble. Krulsifer joins him and immediately senses danger, warning Eri and Noct to keep their distance. Stroking the girl's face, Krulsifer manages to wake her, and the girl states that her system is rebooting. She identifies Krulsifer as her master but, confused and disoriented, falls back asleep. The girl soon introduces herself as the Ruins Supervisor, an automaton with a blank memory from years of dormancy. She pledges to obey Chronicle as the administrator, prompting the team to introduce her to the rest of the group. Lux, however, notices Fee's unusual behavior and urges her to stick with his group to avoid straining herself. As they proceed, Fee suddenly winces in pain, sensing something coming. Right then, Hayes blows the abyss whistle, triggering the next phase of his plan. Diablos, a formidable abyss, rushes at Lux, knocking him back. Struggling against the abyss, he barely manages to fend off the attack, especially with 2 more Diablos approaching. Lux pleads with the headmaster to finish the mission before more innocents get caught up, but she curtly orders him to follow her instructions. Ignoring her, Fee activates her drag ride to shield the others, with Lux following suit in his black divine raiment to support her. As they move, Fee surprises Lux by revealing her ability to locate the abyss precisely. She teleports them outside, just as Diablos charges Lux, who is saved by Fee using her powers to slam the abyss into the ground. The impact jolts Lux's memory, reminding him of past events on this island. But before he can react, the Diablos attacks Fee, sending her hurtling into a nearby building. Without hesitation, Lux springs into action, flying toward the Diablos with remarkable speed and precision. His ambush overwhelms the enemy, and with a series of rapid strikes, he destroys it instantly. Concerned for Fee's safety, Lux enters the building she was thrown into, searching desperately. His search leads him to a hidden underground area, and as he ventures further, he realizes where he is, a site of human experimentation he encountered 5 years ago. The memories flood back, and he recalls Fee being connected to this place as well. Deeper inside the ruins, Lux finds Fee lying on the ground, her skin pale, and her body burning with fever. She warns him that an abyss is nearby. Lux reassures her that he has already destroyed the Diablos, but Fee shakes her head, her voice trembling as she insists, "The abyss is here now." Lux recalls a past promise he made to Fee, vowing to build a peaceful place for her family. As he's pulled back to the present, he tries calling out to Fee, but she collapses, and Hayes is annoyed that she couldn't finish the mission. Meanwhile, Chronicle and her team have managed to take down a Diablos, but Alicia is suspicious of the entire setup. Chronicle congratulates her for finally using her head, though she can't resist a jab. Just then, they get an alert from Aerie, who's found the ruins entrance but needs a key to unlock it. Lux, meanwhile, confronts Hayes, who reveals that Fee has an implanted seed that could turn her into an abyss if she disobeys commands from Ragnarok. It's been causing her painful fevers and headaches. Her current directive is to kill Lux, and if she resists, she'll turn to ashes. Hayes offers Lux a deal, open the ruins, and he'll spare Fee. Hayes confronts him and suggests making a deal. He warns that if things keep going this way, Fee only has a few days left before she's gone for good. But Hayes offers a way out. He promises to let her live if Lux opens the door to the ruins for him. He's confident that the crossover is the key and gives Lux just 2 days to figure it out. Hayes also drops a surprising truth. There's a deeper reason why they share the same hair color. He claims to be the real deal. Lux, torn and overwhelmed, stands by Fee's unconscious body, struggling to decide what to do next. But then, Fee suddenly wakes up. That night, Lux focuses on nursing her back to health, carefully feeding her. Lux suddenly realizes something is off. When he glances at Fee, he notices her eyes shifting into their abyss form again. At that moment, the headmaster appears, watching him intently. The headmaster begins recounting the events of 5 years ago, but drops a bombshell. He had already died during that incident. The person standing before Lux isn't fully human anymore, she was resurrected as an abyss. The truth stings. Lux understands now, the whole reason for entering the ruins is to save Fee from this terrible fate. Time isn't on their side, and they have to act quickly to save her. As this realization hits, Lux is flooded with memories. He recalls visiting his mother's grave with Fee. She had hugged him back then, telling him it was to cheer him up. He had broken down, holding onto her and crying for hours. Suddenly, Alicia snaps him out of his thoughts. She shouts at him to focus, letting him know the overlimiter for his drag ride is ready to go. All he needs now is the activation code. Alicia volunteers to get the code from the headmaster and leaves, but just as she's gone, Lux's internal comm device lights up. A voice comes through, one that Lux immediately recognizes. It's his brother. His brother warns him about Hayes' flute, explaining that it's causing chaos. If Lux truly wants to save Fee, he has to destroy the flute and defeat the Ragnarok that's standing in his way. There's only one thing his brother wants in return, but Lux doesn't hear the details yet. Later, Lux goes to check on Fee. She surprises him by admitting that she's always known about the abyss lurking inside her. Despite it all, she kept going because she didn't want Lux or her sister to feel alone. Now, seeing them surrounded by friends, she feels at peace, as if it's okay to let go. But Lux won't have it. He tells Fee she's wrong, that she's the reason he's been able to keep fighting all this time. He promises her, with everything he has, that he'll save her. Fee smiles, relieved to see that Lux hasn't changed one bit. She tells him she'll wait for him no matter what, and agrees to wait for him. Inside the ruins, the girls ponder how to unlock the door, but Krulsifer, as the administrator, opens it easily. Nox snidely remarks that it's no wonder Krulsifer has Lux's attention while Alicia remains on the sidelines. Once inside, the ruins' robotic overseer announces her regained memory and declares they've betrayed her master, setting Hayes' trap into motion. Hayes arrives, activating the Abyss Seed within Fee. She powers up, prepared to attack the group under Hayes' control. Lux activates his drag ride, but the AI girl summons unmanned drag knights, shocking Lux with their sheer speed and strength. Celes tries holding them off, but Fee quickly flanks her, knocking her down. Alicia tries to counter with her gravity weapon, but Fee's Mission Fade ability nullifies it. When Krulsifer tries to use her divine raiment, Fee disables it too. Fee seizes Alicia's armor, tossing her into Krulsifer, effectively taking both of them out in one strike. This is the power of her divine raiment. She can neutralize any armor's abilities. Hayes, confident, prepares to place the white pearl at the ruin's core, advancing his plan further. As Lux confronts the chaos around him, his brother suddenly appears, locking eyes with him. At the same time, Hayes hears a piercing sound, the shriek of an abyss whistle. Panic flashes across his face. When he tries to blow his own whistle, Fee's grappling hook smashes it right out of his hands. The rest of the Drag Knights are down, defeated, and they demand Hayes surrender before it's too late. But Hayes isn't done yet. He uses another dragon whistle to summon a new Ragnarok. Sally and Alicia step up, combining their energy cannons in sync to take it down. Their attack is powerful, but the Ragnarok counters hard, unleashing branches that restrain them. Hayes smirks as he reveals the Ragnarok's terrifying ability. It can regenerate its wounds, just like a Hydra. Forced to retreat, Alicia and the others start falling back, but Lux charges in to protect them. Lux pleads with Alicia to let him use the overlimiter. She hesitates, knowing it could kill him if he pushes too far. But Lux insists there's no other choice. They'll all die if they don't act now. Reluctantly, Alicia sends him the limiter, and Lux powers up his Reload on Fire ability. As she prepares to transmit the activation code, Lux charges straight at the Ragnarok. Meanwhile, his brother's words echo in his mind. He had asked Lux if he truly planned to save his sister, taunting him that he was powerless, unable to protect anyone, and destined for failure. Anger surges through Lux, fueling his determination. Activating his end action ability, he moves with incredible speed, tearing through the branches attacking him. Each strike is relentless, but his aggression becomes his undoing. The Ragnarok grows stronger, using its branches to siphon the energy from Lux's divine raiment. As Hayes mocks him, claiming everyone will die because of him, Fee's voice rings out, cutting through the chaos. She screams that Hayes is wrong. She knows Lux isn't fighting for himself but to change the entire country, even if it means sacrificing everything. With her words igniting his resolve, Alicia sends the overlimiter code. Fee yells at Lux, urging him to keep fighting, not just for everyone else, but for his own dreams and wishes. It's now or never. After Lux's victory, Hayes is baffled at how Ragnarok was defeated. But Lux's brother reveals it was only possible due to Lux's use of the overlimiter. Despite the win, his brother criticizes him, calling him a weak opponent deep down. Later, Fee sits beside Lux, grateful that he kept his promise to protect her, and she reassures him she's fine now, having trained herself to resist the effects of the flute. Back in the kingdom, they throw a celebration in Lux's honor. Eri points out how the girls are practically competing over who can pamper Lux the most. The headmaster then announces the biggest event of the year, the Foundation Festival, which excites everyone except Alicia. Later, Alicia tries to speak privately with Lux, but Krulsifer beats her to it, asking Lux out on a date. Carice humorously volunteers Celes for a deepened friendship with Lux, and Alicia joins in with her own boast. The headmaster finally steps in, proposing that Lux chooses 3 girls who worked hardest at the island to spend time with, leaving Lux in the awkward position of deciding between them. Eri escorts Lux to his first date, warning him to stay alert, as the Empire's most feared assassin Drag Knight is reportedly on the loose. Lux, dressed up and feeling a bit nervous, meets Celes, who's eager yet slightly awkward about attending her first festival. She tries to act casual, claiming she's not lacking friends or anything. As they stroll through the festival, Celes sips some grape juice and admires Lux's easy connection with others, noting how he's managed to be accepted as the only boy at the academy. She's both impressed and determined, declaring she won't let him surpass her. To seal the friendly rivalry, she reaches out and shakes his hand with newfound resolve, but accidentally jumps on him. Tilford thinks Lux finally showed some boldness, while Carice apologizes for interrupting their moment. Celes seems to have had a big emotional breakthrough from the date. For his next date, Lux attends a noble ball with Krulsifer. As they dance, Krulsifer, looking elegant, asks Lux for his thoughts on her appearance, and he compliments her, calling her a true princess. She hints that just calling her a girlfriend wouldn't convince her butler, so she asks for a pretend kiss. Lux agrees, and they share a brief, tender kiss that surprises them both. Then, Lux heads to his final date with Fee. They visit a church where she lets him lay his head on her lap, urging him to rest from his endless duties. As he relaxes, she reminisces about their past moments together, grateful for his constant protection. The headmaster playfully suggests that Fee should kiss him, too. Later, Lux finds Alicia, who feels a bit overlooked. She admits she should have worked harder and then makes a special request. She wants him to be her knight. She knows he's been marked as a criminal because of his past, but reassures him to think about it. She hurries off, leaving Lux pondering if he's truly fit for the role, while a mysterious figure watches from the shadows. The next morning, Aerie meets Lux at the top of the clock tower and informs him that he'll only be able to operate his Black Drag Knight for 12 minutes during the upcoming festival duels. She also warns him to be cautious of Hayes and the Empire's mysterious assassin Blade. Suddenly, a woman arrives, responding to a summons. Lux, on guard, unsheathes his sword, but she warmly greets him, revealing that she's actually there to serve him. Introducing herself as Yoruka, she expresses her loyalty, eager to prove herself as his devoted protector. Yoruka eagerly asks Lux what his command will be, offering her services for anything he needs, whether it's an assassination or a simple task. She tells him he can rely on her however he wishes. She is free to use. Aerie advises Lux to keep his focus, while Yoruka eagerly requests her first command. Lux tells her to wait until he has more time, and Yoruka nods, disappearing swiftly. Aerie reminds Lux to stay vigilant, but he trusts that Yoruka will follow his orders, deciding to put it off until after the festival duel. Later, in a moment of unexpected tension, Yoruka approaches Lux, hinting that she knows how to relieve his stress, leaving Lux a bit panicked and calling for help. After a lots of shower plot development with Yoruka, Lux takes a walk with her, and she reveals she could have taken down everyone if he'd asked. Furious, Lux questions why she still serves him after everything, especially given her contract with his father to protect the now fallen empire. With his father gone, she's technically free from any binding duty, yet she insists she'll fight until the Empire's last piece crumbles. Yoruka presses Lux, wondering how long he'll keep deceiving the others, suggesting he could seize control and rebuild the Arcadia Empire himself. Lux thinks she's joking, but she's serious, asking him to promise he'll take this path. Lux, however, firmly declines, vowing not to follow the destructive course. As the situation escalates, Yoruka calls out her Drag Knight, and in response, Lux and the others prepare for battle. Alicia backs up Celes, but Yoruka's speed allows her to easily parry their attacks. Using her grappling hook, Yoruka restrains Celes, and then activates her unique power, taking control of Fee's divine raiment. Fee's weapon begins targeting her own allies, and Yoruka once again challenges Lux to change his mind. She even tempts him with the hidden secrets of the country, but then disappears in a flash. Meanwhile, in a chamber within the ruins, the robotic girl finishes activating a mechanism. Hayes is thrilled, ready to initiate his plans, though Yoruka seems less than pleased. Sania questions whether they can really trust Yoruka, and Hayes, with a sly grin, activates an orb, clearly confident in his strategy. Later, the council meets with Lux to discuss the Empire's predicament, revealing that the opposition's plans to strike after the Dragonite tournament will leave the Empire's Drag Knights vulnerable. They've identified over 100 Abyss sightings in nearby villages, and Lux's role will be to act as bait, luring the Abyss into the open as the final line of defense. Aerie protests, finding it unfair, but Lux agrees to the plan, although with one condition: he must win the upcoming Dragon tournament, even though it seems risky to hold the event with an imminent threat looming. At Alicia's repair shop, Lux asks her to make some modifications to his wyvern, though he keeps his motives to himself. Alicia agrees and heads off to gather the necessary parts, leaving Lux alone. Soon, he senses someone watching him from the shadows. Furious, he follows the soft footsteps until he eventually encounters Yoruka, who seems thrilled to see him once more under the fading sunset. With a sly smile, she tells Lux he can ask anything of her, emphasizing her absolute loyalty. Yoruka wonders why Lux isn't willing to fight that night, but Lux still can't fully understand why she continues to follow her old contract. Yoruka explains that her dedication is tied to her late twin brother, who shared her responsibility of their country after their father died. When their homeland was later destroyed by the Arcadia Empire, Lux's father took her brother hostage. Yoruka tells Lux he reminds her of her brother, who died long ago, and her loyalty to him keeps her fighting. She leaves, advising Lux to stay cautious during the tournament. The next day, the Grand Dragon tournament begins, starting with solo battles. Lux faces a powerful opponent who has the upper hand in strength and speed, but with his skillful use of Howling Roar, he manages to turn the tide. His opponent tries a sneak attack by throwing her sword, but Lux catches it and throws it back, winning the match. Watching, Krulsifer notices that Lux's approach has changed. Rather than stalling for time, he now fights with intent to win. After winning his matches, Lux prepares to fulfill his role as a decoy. In the final round, Lisha's armor suddenly malfunctions mid-battle, her control slipping as a green aura overtakes her armor, forcing her to aim her cannon at the crowd. Krulsifer quickly stops her with her freezing cannon. The authorities, however, take Lisha away, accusing her of attempting to harm the people. Though Krulsifer and the others believe she's innocent, they advise her to cooperate for now until they can find the true source of her sudden aggression. Meanwhile, Lux makes his way to the Cave of the Abyss but is ambushed, dodging heavy fire and attacks. Sanya uses a whistle to rally the Abyss against him, but Lux skillfully evades them and reaches his stronghold, where the Drag Knights hold off the Abyss through a long day of intense fighting. After Alicia's arrest, Eri reveals Lux's plan to the others, and Krulsifer suggests focusing on handling Lisha's situation while figuring out how to counter Yoruka. Lux later senses something amiss, and soon, gunfire and explosions break out. His support has been wiped out, and the rebel army's early attack is now breaching the country's defenses. Lux barely evades the gunfire, searching for the enemy leader. When they finally clash, his opponent reveals a dire truth. An even greater force, something far stronger than Ragnarok, is approaching with the intent to destroy the kingdom. Lux feels the ground shake as he watches a massive, ruinous giant warrior approaching the country. Knowing his wyvern alone isn't enough, he activates his Black Drag Ride, which can last only 12 minutes. He manages to eliminate enemy forces while charging toward the giant, but it turns out to be a trap. Velvet, aware of his time limit, attacks, ripping off his arm. However, Lux reveals that the arm was just a decoy, striking back swiftly with his black sword and continuing toward the giant. He contacts Eri, who updates him on Lisha's situation, just as Sanya invades Lisha's cell, demanding she hand over command. Lisha stands firm, waiting for Lux to save her, and just then, he arrives, sending Sanya and her troops fleeing. Lisha expresses regret over losing control, but Lux reassures her, saying that even if the world doesn't accept her, he always will. United, they prepare to defend the kingdom as the giant reaches the walls. Krulsifer and the others attack, but the giant continues advancing, shrugging off Lisha's gravity weapon. With Lux's encouragement, they combine their power, summoning immense energy to knock the giant down, then freezing it in place temporarily. As Lux assigns Krulsifer and Fee to handle the invading army, he senses something wrong and shields Lisha just as Haze unleashes a powerful drag ride attack, splitting the city in half. Sanya seizes the opportunity to attack the castle, issuing demands until Celes intervenes, determined to stop her. Meanwhile, Haze battles Alicia, overpowering her momentarily. Lux, now unseen, catches Haze off guard with a sudden blinding light, allowing him to slip away and continue searching for the control room. He finds Yoruka standing in a field of roses, and she tells him the Empire's new ruler should be his sister. Determined, Lux resolves to save Yoruka from her despair as she launches a fierce assault. Lux barely defends himself and demands to know why her brother died. Yoruka reveals that it was her father's guards who killed him, blaming him for the war. Her brother's tragic fate had led her to accept a life bound by loyalty to a lost cause. Lux tries to make Yoruka see that she's wrong about her loyalty, pointing out that he, too, is fighting to reshape the Empire for the better. Yoruka insists on ending things, and the field around him darkens as she teleports rapidly, launching a series of attacks. Lux realizes her emotions reveal subtle tells in her movements, which helps him defend against her strikes. He's determined to keep fighting for the Empire's future, just as she once fought alongside her brother for a dream. Meanwhile, Celes finally defeats Sanya, However, the ground starts to tremble, and the robotic girl activates the ruin's final order. Hayes warns Alicia to prepare for her doom, and she's knocked down. Lux rushes in, saving her just in time. As the giant ruin weapon charges up, preparing to destroy everything, Yoruka destroys the white pearl powering it, shutting it down and causing the robot to fall asleep. Realizing he's been betrayed, Hayes attempts to attack Lux directly, but Lisha intervenes, deflecting him with her sword and casting him away. After the festival, Alicia steps up before the nation and reveals her decision to make Lux her knight. Despite his past as the former prince of Arcadia, she declares that Lux Arcadia will stand by her side. The crowd is taken aback, but Lux stands beside her, providing silent support. With confidence, Alicia explains that she chose him because he's the only one who shares her ideals, representing her vision for a future where people are judged by who they are now, not by their history. She expresses hope that this choice will help the people accept Lux as part of their nation. The crowd warms to her message, cheering as Alicia smiles at Lux and holds his hand. After her speech, Lux praises her courage, and she feels reassured in her decision. But in a moment of quiet, Lux notices a shadowy figure in the distance, his brother holding a sword identical to his own. His brother gives a faint smile, pulls his hood up, and vanishes into the darkness. Afterward, Alicia hints playfully that she'll need Lux by her side, and Krulsifer jumps in with her own teasing. Yoruka, with her usual intensity, vows her loyalty, leaving even Eri feeling a touch jealous of all the attention. So Lux tells them all he is going to clap every bitch in the room. That's it for today's video guys, watch the following video, and I will see you in the next one.